Welcome back to We Are live from Midco Studio in Grand Center in St. Louis, Missouri. Travis Terrell joining in Brooklyn, New York. Chris Gardner, myself, Chris Demnon. We're here. If you haven't yet, give us 5 stars on iTunes. We love that. It helps us. And be sure you tell somebody to download and subscribe today. Big thanks to everybody for tuning in last hour. Had a lot of fun. If you missed it, you can go back and watch the video or, again, download it online. Travis, I know you had a big weekend overall because, wow, some news has dropped, and I feel like this is the big time for you. Marvel announcing another phase with about 70 million more movies. It's never going to end. The entertainment doesn't stop. Big day for you as they announced at Comic-Con all the new additions, including a new version of Blade being added to the fray. Mahershala Ali taking over the Wesley Snipes role. Travis, I'm just going to step back. Take it from here, boss.
I was crying all of Saturday night.
Okay.
It was one of the most emotional moments of my adult life. Um, I'm looking forward to the day that I get married and hopefully then leading to children. But I even think then that will never match the type of joy that I received on Saturday night.
Mm.
It was just unbridled joy. It wasn't. It was like Christmas morning and having sex for the first time. Like
Mm.
it just felt like I was getting everything I wanted and more. And then like someone was feeding me like not only like grapes infused with Hennessy. It was just such a delightful evening of joy
Now,
that I
Hyde
have never
suggested that be
experienced in
his
my life.
favorite thing. Can you imagine the backlash?
But Chris, yeah, we're talking. Well, first we learned that they're going to do the Eternals, which is, that's kind of deep cuts for Marvel. That's even deeper than Guardians of the Galaxy. So you're introducing characters that'll be played by Salma Hayek. They'll be played by the amazing Angelina Jolie. Um, and you have our friend, the old King of the North. I know his last name is Madden. I forget his first name.
Joe.
But Joe, no, it's not Joe. Not John either.
Jerry.
Either way, I don't know. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank on his name, but you get the Eternals announced, uh, and then you hear that Kevin Feige they're moving forward with a Fantastic Four film. Uh, Now that Marvel owns the property, there's talks of an X-Men film. Now that Disney owns the property, and the big news, Mahershala Ali, two-time Academy Award winner, taking over the role as Blade, which, for those who remember correctly, this when Blade was released, it kind of brought in a new era for Marvel. Like it kind of gave Marvel footing. So what we've seen over the last 10 years, we can say started technically with the character played by Wesley Snipes and the character Blade, which is a Marvel property. So some really cool news over the weekend, just from the casting to the way Phase 4 is going. A lot of the a lot of the main characters from the Avengers will be moving to Disney Plus with their own spinoff shows. We learned that Thor is going to now have another movie, and that's called Love and Thunder. Tessa Thompson and the amazing Natalie Portman will apparently take over the role as Lady Thor. So there's going to be a little bit of the changing of the guard. So um, it's really cool to see Marvel go in this direction immediately after Endgame, which we also learned this weekend is officially the highest grossing film of all time.
Overtook Avatar.
Finally overtook Avatar this past weekend, so it was a banner weekend for Marvel. A great way to launch into Phase 4. We Scarlett Johansson's going to return next May in a Black Widow spinoff to kick the new phase off, and yeah,
David
it's
Harbour's in that movie.
David Harbour is indeed in that movie. Rachel Weisz is also in that movie. So you're seeing some very high grade A-list gravitas actors gravitate to the MCU, and I think that's wonderful because that means we're this close to Denzel Washington showing up somewhere in the MCU.
Oh,
It just engulfs any and all stars
now
possible.
You
all
have to, right? You have to.
all this news. I have one big question though, Travis. Is it game changing?
It is game
Again?
changing, my friend.
And that always
We're
is.
changing the game on top of the game that was previously changed.
Man,
It's now being rechanged from a different game. It's the same game,
Mm.
but this
I don't even
time
know
it's
the rules
changed.
of the game anymore because it
Right.
changes so
Changes.
much.
It's a little bit of Monopoly meets cricket.
Oh,
It's a true game
Ooh.
changer. So yeah, exactly. Think about it.
I'm
But
trying.
no,
I
I'm
can't.
excited. But yeah, it's a great time to be a comic book nerd, superhero nerd, whatever you want to call them, because they're really offering not only again the deep cuts, but they're doing a lot of fan service. So you see things like Lady Thor. You see, so the idea that they are truly giving the fans what they have wanted for a long time is really cool to watch.
Now, are you upset that there are 4 Thor movies before there are 2 Black Panther movies?
No, not at all. I that was actually part of an interesting conversation that was taking place around Comic Con this weekend. A lot of people recognize that Marvel has, from their earlier beginnings, they have made great strides to, I guess, diversify, not only behind the camera, but in front of it as well. And a lot of people wondered what took so long, yet at the same time, I think they're very appreciative of the direction Marvel is going.
Well, I would say too, and Travis, that this is up to you to say yes or no. But it always appeared, even with the character in the '60s and '70s, Black Panther, and others, I think Marvel's done a pretty good job, even in the comics, of always kind of including people, and then they've gotten better or shaped it up even more as times move forward, right?
I think certainly with the MCU, what we've seen with Kevin Feige, the CEO over Marvel, I think he has recognized that in order to dive into a lot of these characters, you're going to have to point out the obvious. And so diversifying these roles are necessary. If you're going to have a character that its origin stories take place in Southeast Asia, well, it's kind of hard to pick a guy that looks like he lives in Connecticut as the main character. So I think the storytelling is taking you there. And I think that's been the biggest gripe when it comes to representation. A lot of times when the story takes you there, you should probably make it look like the people who you're telling the story about. I think that's why maybe Scarlett Johansson gets it harder than anyone else because some of the roles she has taken, the story takes you to a place of people that don't look like Scarlett Johansson. And that's where I think the blowback. But I think recently with Marvel, they're being a little bit more conscientious, and now they're kind of pushing the envelope. Tessa Thompson, of course, she is going to be one of the first main gay characters in a Marvel film. So it feels like Marvel is again doing their best to push the envelope, I guess, as much as a corporation probably can.
oh,
Yes, we are. Yes, we
Well,
are.
congratulations on the birth of your many children, Travis. It looks
Thank
like
you. Would it be weird to name my kids after Marvel films?
I don't think so. I think people have done worse.
well,
And you can't even like it's not even like the joke doesn't even apply. Like at one point in our friendship, Travis, I feel like we could have really had some good back and forth on black baby names, but I'm gonna say white people have taken it to a new level with the just out
Oh yeah.
there names like and at least yeah when you try and draw lines and connect things it's a little more than you need to things get weird.
I could hear Marvel Terrell
Mm,
as a great name.
that is a
Marvel
great name.
Terrell.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that. I
Yeah,
like that. Okay, Gardner, I appreciate that.
you're welcome.
I also it was a fun weekend at Comic Con. There was a lot of other big news. We talked a little bit about, of course, Top Gun was a part
Now this
of
is
some of
where
the
all the
big news that was
superheroes
rolled
are
out.
naked, right? Is that
On bikes.
is that what the on bikes?
Exactly, yeah.
Oh, there's
That's
Batman.
exactly what it is.
Okay. Yeah.
But it
Just
Who
was
clarifying.
knew about Robin? Oh my God.
uh, Just keeping it 100. Keeping it 100. But it was interesting, a difference 2 years make. We were all clamoring for, any sneak peeks to the final season of Game of Thrones. And this go around for Game of Thrones, most of the cast were in attendance except for D&D, the creators, the showrunners of Game of Thrones, who scheduling conflicts apparently came about.
Yeah.
But
Right.
yeah, it was a very weird vibe according to a lot of people in the room. You can tell the fans wanted to be appreciative of the work they put in for the last 8 years, but you can also tell a lot of the fans were just, frustrated in that they wish the creators were there to basically take the brunt of their anger out of, from the frustration from season 8. So it was kind of weird because, yeah, you just can tell the actors were a little bit defensive, and you could tell the fans were a little bit abrasive. So I don't. That was kind of the weird spot of the weekend
Mhm.
for Comic Con,
What if
which
they
is
would have
interesting because it's always been the darling for the last 7 years.
shown up? How would that have gone?
I
You
think
take
they.
your licks.
I think you take your licks for the
I think you
first
do
half,
it.
but then they explain themselves, whether it's true or not, how they explain themselves. I think they improve their standing or public because it's like, oh, they showed up,
Yeah.
people scream at them for a half an hour, and then they say, listen, here's the deal, and we've got all these other great things happening. I think, or do they think that it was just so egregious that they're
I
never going to be able to slither out of
I
that?
would
I
have
don't think
hoped.
they can answer a lot. I think a lot of the answers that if they were to give honestly would expose them and their future. I think if D&D showed up and they gave the fans what they wanted, honest answers to their questions, they could potentially put their current projects and future projects in jeopardy. And so I think that's what they were thinking about before they decided to, whether or not they were going to go to Comic Con, because there's no other way to answer a lot of those questions other than
There's one way.
I was over here working with Disney, or I was over here working with a studio. Like, you don't want to admit that as an artist, and that could ultimately mess with your money down the road.
I think there's one way, and that's what I would have preferred is if they got really shit-faced drunk
Mm,
and then just started yelling back at people, asking them questions, and
Yeah.
got very confrontational.
like,
That's one way,
right.
and I would have enjoyed that.
You say you're a Thrones fan? Why do you have those Spock ears on, you fucking nerd?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
And then, I mean, I think, and you also don't want to give in to the people on Reddit who say that you really aren't as good as you have been told that you are because you didn't have source material to lean on. And these guys have feelings. These guys know, like, they have a lot to prove, and they know that they didn't have the source material as they had in the first few seasons. And whether it's fair or not, I don't think you want to sit up there for 2 hours to hear that. Now, I still would have gone, but I think the only reason why they didn't go is because they have to think about potential checks that haven't been cashed yet.
Well, Travis, that seems like it was a decent time. Some of your heroes, one of my heroes, you've probably never heard of him. He's a rapper, an actor, a business owner, a podcaster. Shaquille O'Neal, 47 years young, out partying. When's the last time you were in a mosh pit, Travis?
Never, Chris.
Not once. Not even at the Sprite Liquid Mix Tour in 2002 that we both
Please
realized
don't
we
touch
were
my
at.
body. No, please, it's too hot.
I gotta add
Get
mosh
off me,
pit
please.
Yeah.
to Cocktoberfest.
Nice, nice. Shaq, I'm going to say he's heavier than this, but if you just look up his stats, 7'1", 325 pounds, shoe size is 23. You know him as one of the best players to ever play basketball in the game. Again, 47 years old. Let's see how Shaq spent his weekend. Gardner, you got the video? Look around here at a
Pretty
music
cool. Nice
festival.
group of people.
Oh
Sweet
my
guy.
God! How mad are you if you're that dude in the sunglasses at your drug dealer? You're like, I swear I saw Shaquille O'Neal in the mosh pit, man. What did you give me? Shaq in the middle of a group of sweaty cocks. And he's in there participating in a mosh pit. Very friendly. It was very friendly. It wasn't him versus Brad Miller. It was a very friendly moshing for a man of his size.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the audio off, but I'm gonna play the video again because I think it's near the end. There's a couple of guys that are just like wowed that they're in a mosh pit
Oh,
with
I would've-
Shaquille O'Neal.
I would have playfully bounced off him.
Yeah, some tried.
Yeah.
Like that guy right there. See him?
Look at that with the white. Yes. He
And
was
his
so
buddy right there.
excited.
Those two guys right there. They're like, oh my God, we're in a mosh pit with Shaquille O'Neal.
They stopped to grab each other and really discuss it.
That's like the greatest moment of their life.
Usually it's like watch out for the fat guy in the bandana. He's getting a little bit aggressive in the mosh pit. He's doing the Reaper. There are these dance moves that people do.
So one thing I love about the great Bill Murray is that he's a trendsetter. So remember for years, we would always hear these stories about Bill Murray showing up at parties. It turned into a show, a movie on Netflix. I think you can actually watch it right now currently on Netflix. I think it's called Bill Murray Stories. And it was just it would be an urban legend. You would hear these stories, Bill Murray in the wild. Now there are two competing favorites from my childhood that are trying to become their versions of Bill Murray. Shaq, because the Shaq also is a DJ now. He's an EDM
like-
DJ.
Like a real DJ.
So he'll rent.
Like,
Yeah, so he'll
charges a lot of
like he
money.
goes to,
Yeah.
yes. So now like that's his thing. And then Andre 3000. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but
No.
Andre 3000 apparently just either is in airports or in bookstores playing his flute, just walking up and down the streets of America playing a flute, and people are going, "Hey, that guy looks like Andre 3000."
I think
oh
I
my
saw-
God, that is Andre 3000.
I think I saw a girl tweet out like she saw that in the airport. I think it was the
He
airport.
was in the airport.
That's the
Mhm.
one I saw. Now that you make, I didn't know that this was a trend, though. However, I thought this
This
was.
is now there have been 2 or 3 incidences where people have said they have been out and they've heard a man on the flute, and they were like, "Ha!" From a distance, that guy looks like Andre 3000 from Outkast. And then people would follow the guy with the flute, and they would discover it is indeed Andre 3000 from Outkast. So I love that this is a thing. I hope celebrities continue to do this. I think it's pretty cool.
So if you're Brooklyn, do you hire Andre 3000 to like the dude with the snakes in Ireland? Like, do you hire him to drive all the hipsters out of your neighborhood? Like, because all the white kids
The
in
dude
skinny
with the
jeans.
snakes?
Yeah, Saint
Patrick?
Saint Patrick, exactly. What do you think of that?
No,
do you
he-
hire Ron?
no,
do you
because of
hire?
No,
You hire Andre
that's the worst
3000
thing
to
that can
get
happen.
the-
No,
Okay.
that's the worst thing that can happen for gentrification here in Brooklyn. If they learn that really cool black rappers are doing their flutes, that's
That's
the
what I'm saying.
ultimate hipster thing. So
No,
more
but
white
you
people are
can-
going to be drawn to Brooklyn.
Yeah, that's what. Well, what I'm saying is, if you want white people out of a certain area, you just have him round them up and
Don't you
walk
need
the other way.
Don't you need more white people in Brooklyn to create more diversity?
Thank you. Needed to be said.
I mean, the way you describe it now, I actually think, Travis, you might need.
It is so funny though. Like I was at the coffee shop yesterday, and again, I love the diversity, the beauty here in Brooklyn. And even when like white people walk in, it's like they have a Russian. They're speaking Russian. Like y'all ain't even white. Y'all cheating. Get out of here.
So that Shaq video, I was trying to figure out where it was. It's at a music festival called Tomorrowland, and it's in Belgium.
Oh, and they were European?
Yes. He's
Imagine-
in Belgium.
Imagine being that, like,
That's smart.
of all the people, so you're an American visiting and you see that, and all you've heard is people in Europe just speaking different languages, and the one person you run into from the U.S. is fucking Shaq at a music
But
festival.
let's be honest. Isn't that what we like? I think what Shaq and Andre 3000 are doing is what I would expect people that changed, like they had to put in a lot to be who they are. So Shaq was a big deal for a long time, 2 decades plus. Like he put a lot into being Shaquille O'Neal. So it makes sense that Shaq would be in Belgium at a music festival, because if you were rich and you had spent most of your young adult life just on a job, like you're technically finally having your gap year. Well, most of us have spent 2 decades in a gap year. You know what I'm saying? So it makes sense that
Well-
grown man Shaq is at a music festival in Belgium, because that's exactly what I would do if I was Shaq.
Widely documented, he's like doubled his net worth as well with his business investments. So Good for him.
Oh, well, that's what happens when you're the spokesperson for the general.
Oh, that's a
Yeah.
good point.
And that
Well, he owns a
insurance.
bunch of burger joints and all kinds of stuff.
Well,
But
and it makes sense too, now that I think of it, that he's at this music festival because it's European. What do you think? You mentioned
Right.
EDM DJ stuff. Where do you think that's
Mm-hmm.
going to originate from? It's going to be from this area.
Hmm.
So that makes
And then not
sense.
only that, I guess even from a like people know Shaq in Belgium, but they're not.
Not
You
like
know, it's
that.
going to take them a second. I mean, and it's
And not
probably a
20. And
specific
who?
group of people.
22 year
Right.
olds are at that festival and they don't know Shaq. Not in Europe.
I
Not
think
like
probably
that.
half of them figured it out. I think he's
Maybe.
famous enough for you to know. Like, but I'm saying but if he did that in New York, I mean, people will spot Shaq from a mile away.
Sure.
In Belgium, you're just like, it would be too racist to say it's just Shaq because I'm not sure it's Shaq, but that looks
Yeah,
like Shaq.
but if you're the Belgian dudes that are black, do you know how happy you are that Shaq came through? Because you're living off those residuals for the next 2 years. People are going to be like, he might have been. More ladies are going to go up and talk to him at the clubs. They're going to ask him if they're friends, and they'll ask some mildly racist stuff without realizing it. Like, are you related? Are you that? And the Belgian dudes will be like, yeah, you know why he was here? He's my cousin. That's why he was
Now,
here.
my only thing right now, I would say to people like Shaq who are going to these, like I said, don't live your life because if I'm Shaq and I'm worth as much as he's worth, and my kids are out the house, and I don't know, I don't think Shaq is remarried, so he's as a single guy out here doing his thing. I would be doing exactly that, but I would be careful traveling to other countries right now, like because it isn't like our State Department is making a ton of friends around the world.
They're busting
So if you get
rappers
into
out.
you get into some trouble, could be very difficult for you to get home to America.
Okay. Uh, so all in all, we're good. Our friend Jay in the comments says he once met Ron Jeremy in an airport. Uh,
Chris, did
and
you
he
meet Ron Jeremy like at the Arby's?
no, no, I did not. Although he does slay roast beef.
Oh.
Look, now that's the best.
Stop talking
Like
about
that
Hope Solo
was.
like that.
See, look at that. Look at that. That's a
I
hockey
shouldn't have said
assist.
that. I
Yeah.
was
That's
very
a hockey. No,
offensive.
no, no. That's a
Oh my
hockey
God.
assist.
Yeah.
So Gardner. Yeah. So Chris gets the point. I got the assist for setting him up. Gardner. Yeah.
You get the primary
half a
assist. I
point.
get the secondary
Yes.
assist. Yeah.
Black Sheep says he thinks all those Belgian dudes just were just really surprised that Forrest Whitaker was so much bigger in real life.
It's the King of Scotland.
Who's yeah, that's a good point because who's more popular in Belgium? Forrest Whitaker, Shaquille O'Neal.
I'm gonna say Forrest
I
Whitaker.
think Forrest Whitaker. I don't like.
Well, you know what
Listen,
though?
No,
If Shaq,
people know
here's the
Shaq.
thing.
He was
Here-
in
here's the-
movies.
no,
You're
but-
talking like a nasty American.
no, but here's the thing. Like, and I mentioned
Name Belgium's biggest soccer player right now. You don't know.
Van.
Gustav Hoek.
Van Meter.
It's the guy with.
Yeah,
He's a waffle air,
Von-
right?
Dick Van Dyke,
Van
Van Wilder.
Van Buren.
Mhm.
Van
Yes,
Buren.
Martin.
Van Buren. Martin Van Buren's primary language
Yeah.
was Dutch.
Okay.
Secondary was his English.
All right.
You telling me Belgian people will immediately recognize Forrest Whitaker before Shaquille O'Neal?
No, and they want. And I'll tell you why. Because we just talked about the music culture. Like they're going to know Shaq from what he's
From
doing now,
rapping.
probably.
Yeah.
I don't
So, yeah,
think as many
Belgium,
people
yeah.
know him as you think.
I think more people. I can't-
I remember.
all right.
I remember.
I can't believe I'm going to say this sentence, but I'm going to say
Yes.
it. Okay.
Say it
I
out loud,
believe
Gardner. That's the
more
point.
people in Belgium know who Shaquille O'Neal is over Forrest Whitaker.
I don't.
There we
I
go.
don't think so. I don't think
Is
so.
this a poll? This is a fucking poll question. This is what we.
It's a poll question.
We've got
I don't even know how to
Give us a-
phrase this stupid ass.
our friend Tom.
'Cause
How
Chris
are we
is being
arguing
argumentative.
if more Belgians know Shaquille O'Neal or Forrest Whitaker?
Here's one. Here's
Better
one.
question, maybe a better question. Who's more popular in Belgium, Shaquille O'Neal or Sinbad?
They're probably about the same level. Because I mean, things take a little longer. Belgians celebrate Christmas. Jingle All the Way has made it to Belgium. And you got to have the Schwarzenegger
Nah,
effect
man.
into that.
Shaq. I think you're underestimating Shaq's popularity.
Now,
I think you're really
I
underestimating
think you're
Shaq's
I
popularity.
think you're overestimating how much Belgians care about basketball and American basketball to boot. They
Belgians
know
love American
kickboxing. They
basketball.
know kickboxers more than they know basketball players. Get out of my face. They know
No, I
waffle makers
refuse.
better.
No,
Mm-mm.
no, no, not at all. Shaquille
Is there
O'Neal.
one
Shaquille O'Neal
Belgian
ain't
in
a
the
regular
NBA?
basketball player.
Is there one Belgian guy in the
It doesn't
NBA?
matter. Shaquille O'Neal transcends basketball.
I would love that because he's amazing, but I don't think Belgians give a damn about Shaq.
It's Shaquille O'Neal. Like first of all, he's one of the biggest black people on earth. So white people in Belgium at least Googled that once. Who's the biggest black person on earth? Who's this Shaq? Because that's what white people do. They wake up in the morning just so they can say, "Hey man, this boogeyman. Who's the biggest boogeyman in the world?" Boom, Shaquille O'Neal. But then they learn he's a soft teddy bear that played great basketball for 15 seasons in the NBA. And I think he's incredibly popular because of the rapping in the movies. So I think he absolutely would be recognized before at least Forrest Whitaker. Now,
Romelu.
if you talking like Terry Crews, could be a toss up.
I think Terry Crews.
White people love Terry Crews.
I think Terry Crews is more known than that.
Romelu Lukaku
I'm
is
sorry?
the best Belgian soccer player,
Mm-hmm.
possibly.
He's not even the most famous Lukaku.
Who's the most famous Lukaku?
Yeah, tell us. Jerome.
Earl Lukaku, who owns a White Castle on Natural Bridge.
Good for you.
Romelu is black, just so you know. Vincent Company, looks like his name's up here. Jan Vertonghen.
So do you think the most popular Belgium athlete is more popular than the most popular American athlete?
In Belgium?
Who's the most popular American athlete in America?
Are you going to say LeBron?
Yeah, LeBron.
I don't say
James.
Steph Curry.
You think Steph?
Oh.
Is it light skin?
Steph, Tom Brady, and Steph. Chris, you don't even know the light skin and dark skin debate, so stay your ass out of it.
I know you try to stay out of it.
Black people
What-
big.
hey,
You're
You don't
afraid
know
to
nothing
get
about
into
no
it.
black
Hey,
people
hey,
business.
hey, hey. Are we saying athletes in America?
Athletes in America. Most popular athlete
Floyd
in
Mayweather?
America. No, we're not talking about. No, no way Floyd Mayweather's most popular. Popular?
Liked
Like
or known?
people like them.
Liked or
liked.
known?
Liked.
Liked.
It's not Floyd Mayweather. Then.
Not that. Although people do
But I don't
speak
even
with their
think, even
wallets.
from a known standpoint, I don't think it's Mayweather.
Mm,
I think Steph Curry is the most popular athlete in America,
I don't know. You
and
think
maybe the
over
most
Tom
well
Brady?
known.
You think over Tom Brady?
It's Tom Brady, Steph Curry, LeBron right now. But I feel like more people dislike LeBron than people dislike Steph Curry.
I don't know. That's a tough one.
Do you think more
Tom Brady's the
Belgians-
only
talking-
football player I can think of right now that's
Does it have
popular.
to be-
Maybe Aaron Rodgers.
Does it have to be an American, or can they be international but famous in America?
Who do you
Because
have?
Conor McGregor is, I mean, he's as big as it gets.
He's not an American athlete.
That's what I was asking. Because he's
Yeah,
but
yeah.
more
he's not.
Americans.
I wouldn't consider him American
America's
athlete.
his biggest supporting country.
But you think he's more popular than the most? Well, you think Conor
No,
McGregor is more
more
popular
people know
than
who
Steph or
Curry
LeBron?
is. Yeah,
Oh,
you're right.
okay,
You're right.
okay.
Steph Curry's bigger.
Okay. So I'm just curious if the most popular American athlete would be the most popular person in Belgium,
Probably
even
not.
over
I
their
don't
most
think so.
popular athlete.
I don't
Okay.
think so.
Okay.
It would
Not
be
even
one.
close.
They'd be one of their own.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where
Makes
did I
sense.
hear? There's a guy interviewed once that called the Belgians low rent French
Mm.
Jeez.
Rude.
because he caught his wife sleeping.
Jeez.
And that's why he has a bad view of them.
That's a tough one. I'll let
So
you
whenever
guys.
I hear about Belgians now, I think of that moment the guy said, called them, they're just low rent French. I caught my wife cheating on me with.
That's
Oh,
hilarious.
okay. Well, I mean,
Tiger Woods
Hey,
from
we-
Sean in the comments.
you know-
How do we miss Tiger Woods? Tiger Woods he's still
No,
bigger than the.
I think you got. I
Or
don't
am I
think Tiger Woods is the most popular.
You think more 12-year-olds and 10-year-olds know who Steph Curry is than Tiger Woods is?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I think I would say that it is flipped as far as race when it comes to Tiger's popularity as well. I think he had a large contingent of black fans, I think 10, 12 years ago, I think now he has a larger contingent of white fans, and I believe his black fans have dropped off significantly.
The red polo rears its ugly head, huh? You think that's what did it?
Man, look, it's one thing to play a Trump chorus. It's another thing to play a Trump chorus with Trump.
Our friend, our friend
Oh,
Purdy
yeah.
in the comments, his hair, LeBron's hair makes it easy to hate him. Do you think that's rude or appropriate?
And that's both. Absolutely both.
How about our buddy Tom? He met Ron Jeremy. My first Facebook photo is me in the
Okay, how
background
many
of
Ron
a
Jeremy
photo
stories we gonna have on the
of
show
Ron
today?
Jeremy, and he had
Sweet
dinner
goodness.
with him, and he had a very weird talk
What?
about Terry Schiavo. Oh my God.
Oh,
That had to be on that college tour because
No, 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 please
Ron
don't.
Jeremy came to our brewery. He came and ate dinner because he did some speaking tour that came to Mizzou. He did.
Yeah, but what he talking about sounds like we gonna be an accomplice to a murder, and I ain't trying to get
Well,
wrapped up. Look,
yeah.
man,
What?
this don't tell that story on our. All views are
I would like
expressed are not exclusively that of We Are Live.
I would like to know the details of this conversation. Actually,
Yeah,
I
Tom
do
Brown, let
not.
us know in the
If you want
comments.
to have it off the air, please, that'd be
you
great.
comfortable, Travis?
Huh.
It's just
Speaking of uncomfortable, I think I'm
oh,
about to do something and agree with Chris on a issue.
Well, let me tell
You
people about
guys see?
Getaway Carts real quick because we all
Oh, look at
agree
you.
on
Okay.
that. GetawayCarts.com is a website customized without limits. Hashtag carte blanche as well. GetawayCarts.com. Again, check out online the selection of customizable golf carts available to you and yours to scoot through St. Louis neighborhoods. Travis, what are you talking about controversy? What do you mean? We're going to agree on something? What do you have?
Yeah. So there's a comedian, and she does a joke about the rapper Extension. Am I saying his name right?
He's a deceit. Yeah, he's.
why are you
And
asking us?
Quintancion.
I've
I
never
don't know
known.
because
I don't know. It's three X's.
I
It's like
believe it's.
extension
yeah.
with three X's. Can
I,
we
b-
say that?
I
All
believe
right. So
it's.
let's give you.
I have the
How do you
joke.
say
You
it?
have it.
Yeah.
Oh, we've got it.
Oh,
So
you have
Trav,
the
you want
actual
to throw
joke.
to
I'll
it?
shut up
Yeah.
and then play the video. Yeah,
All
let's go
right.
to this
So
video. This is a comedian, pretty popular comedian. She has a joke about a rapper that was killed a few months ago. The rapper, though, had a very controversial past. He was apparently a domestic abuser. He beat his pregnant girlfriend nearly to the inch of her life. He actually went to, I think, it went on trial. I don't recall how the trial ultimately ended up. Nevertheless, this young man was then later gunned down and robbed. He is now dead, and this comedian is telling this joke.
And for more background, he was on his way to purchase a car with $50,000 in cash. Just for the background.
Is anyone still mourning XXX Tentacion? He's a rapper who was murdered. He's dead now. He was shot. He was on his way to buy a car with $50,000 in cash, and somebody shot him and took the money, which is very tragic. But I think also it would be a very good Venmo commercial. You know? That's the first thing I thought when I heard that. Like, I don't have Venmo. I should get Venmo.
there it is.
Travis, go ahead. You first.
So the comedian, she issued an apology on her Instagram page. I wasn't trying to hurt anyone's feelings. That's never what I want. I'm a comic and use jokes to try and make dark topics less painful, but I realize not everyone feels that way and don't want anyone to feel badly. It was taken down and won't air on TV. Um, I respectfully disagree. I mean, I look, she has to do what's best for her. So if she thought the apology was necessary, then good on her. And honestly, I think for her, from a strategic standpoint, it makes sense. It moves you past the issue, and you can go on and continue to do comedy. I think because the joke one landed and it was funny, I think she realizes that this is also a positive because here's a joke and a clip that maybe a ton of people had not seen, and now people have, and she can say, "Well, I apologize for it," but there are a lot of people in the comedy community who are probably going to start booking her based off this joke. I didn't have a problem with the joke. I don't know. I think in this instance, it was a Smart joke. It landed. It. I don't. Help me if someone wants to be devil's advocate. I'm not even trying to be
Mm-mm.
argumentative. Help me if I'm wrong. If it's wrong to have laughed at that joke, I'm happy to listen and hear out how it is. But I thought it was a joke that was well written and it landed and it was funny because the room laughed. But I could be wrong.
No, that's the thing. If it's for you, it's for you. If you don't like it, you don't have to laugh. You don't have to deal with this woman. You don't have to go to the shows. You're also allowed to be offended by it and not love the joke. But
Yeah.
overall, I think if you're a comedian and you chastise her, that you're on the wrong side of things and you're trying to get
Yes.
attention. Because ultimately, uh, I'm guessing some fans of his, which will probably be a large portion of younger people on Twitter that suffer no consequences for throwing out death threats to somebody like this that get taken seriously, and that sucks.
Because she
And
started protecting her social media
yeah,
accounts.
yeah, yeah. Ultimately, a lot of
Yeah.
people came to her defenses. We've got I think people are upset. Comedy Central didn't stand up for her a little more
Yeah.
too, because they're supposed to
It's a
kind of
little-
I
represent
think,
that.
but I would imagine. But do you think it's that? Do you think it's did Comedy Central take it down first and then she took it down, or did she ask Comedy Central to take it down herself? Because how
Uh,
like I
the
mean, if
way
she wanted the joke
comedians that
taken,
I follow are reacting, it was a Comedy Central decision, and people aren't happy about that. We've got
yeah, I would be interested. Yeah, if that's the actual case, then yeah, I would be disappointed in Comedy Central's move there. But if it's something that she wanted taking down and Comedy Central complied, then okay,
the way
I'm game for that. I think she was looking after her future and her safety. Like I said, I think it was a very edgy joke. I thought it was funny, but clearly people these days are very will take things to the next level. So for her safety, I absolutely understand the steps that
Yeah.
she's taking, but I don't think necessarily she needed to apologize for
Well,
that
and it's
joke.
even
It was again, it wasn't like it wasn't. Look, if we wanted to put it in context, if she was a person running for office or someone holding high office or something to that effect, then yeah, I'll be willing to hold her to a different standard. But this was inside the halls of a comedy club, and it was a joke that wasn't cavalier. It was well written, and it got a reaction. And I don't think you should have to apologize for that.
it's, and I guess what was the backlash for? Just because
she brought it,
he
dare bring it
mentioned
up,
him.
like get out of here.
Yeah, because
you know?
that's a little because the focus of the joke, when you listen to the joke, is not even, you know, necessarily getting gunned down or anything with his past
It's
or
a
the
sad
history of that.
situation.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it turns it a little different way,
right.
like, and it personalizes it, and
How many Steve Irwin jokes were made? I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Like, what are you gonna get mad at people for saying? Don't mess with crocodile or stingrays or
am I
whatever? Like,
allowed to make a
I think, like
JFK
I said,
joke yet?
hell yeah.
I think comedians should have a little bit more rope, especially if the joke's being told inside a comedy club. And now, again,
And
rules tend to change when you leave comedy clubs. And if she was saying this on TMZ on the street, I can really understand it. But this was someone who, I don't know, I just the way it was presented, looking at the entire context of the joke, I can't gather the outrage, maybe to certainly, I definitely don't understand the outrage to
and
threaten her,
Travis,
but certainly understand to boycott her too. I don't get that.
you mentioned something last week, and when watching, you mentioned that you watched Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee with Seinfeld
Hmm.
and Eddie Murphy. I watched that last
Hmm.
night, and I
How
think
great is it?
it was fantastic. There's the Sammy Davis Jr. stuff,
That's such a
uh,
great gem.
worshiping Satan, uh, and some other stuff in there. But there's one part that I just thought of from that where they're actually sitting down having breakfast, and Seinfeld says to Eddie that comedians think everything is funny, like death is funny, and he's even saying immediately it's funny. It's like he's like, yeah, I heard from someone that so and so died, and I said to him, and he said, I said this on a number of occasions. Oh, we've had enough of him anyway. Like that's my immediate response to finding out someone had died. Like not the tragicness or we've lost this person. He's like, my immediate response is, oh, we've had enough of him anyway. And so like comedians, like he's like, they don't outside people don't necessarily understand how we interact with each other. And this is like when we're away, like we find everything funny,
Well,
and
and then there's going to
that
be,
makes me think of that.
and I agree. And I think there's a reality that we have to realize. Like artists have rope. Like I think people ask me why did it take for Trump to run for office for people to bring these things to light about him and his personality and his past. And I've said it I think back in 2016 when he won the election. I think it's all fun and games until you run for the highest office in the land, and then we naturally raise our standards and our expectations. Like again, a comedian can make these jokes. If a comedian wanted to get on stage and say some shit like "Go back to your country" and he did it within the context of a joke, a comedian's entitled to do that. I think it all changes when it's the occupation and
Hmm.
where it's being told. And I think if this person's a comedian and she's telling it within the confines of a comedy club,
Yeah.
I think she's within a different standard than what we generally apply to the rest of the public.
How about Anthony Jeselnik's tweet yesterday? Part of me wants to take out my anger on all the XXXTentacion fans today, but I doubt any of them are carrying 50 grand in cash.
Mm.
Anthony Jeselnik's special
You
Fire
can't,
in the
but
Fire
you,
in the
but it,
Maternity Ward available now.
like, and I think, yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I think rappers especially kind of want to tread lightly. Look, I think people give rappers a ton of room to say anything on a track, to say
Yeah,
anything in a
Yeah.
song, to say anything
absolutely.
in an album. And so, do you really want to be fans that go around policing other people's art? Like I said, if this was the mayor, if this was, a police chief, I say, hey, let the outrage fly. But this is a joke that I would imagine. How many
Let's
people even
uh
had seen the joke, even knew the comedian
let's
prior to this? Like
or
it
knew
all,
the
it
rapper.
weirdly elevated this girl.
How
Like this is
many
so weird. You just weirdly elevated someone that most people in comedy, even people like on the underground scene, may have not even heard of that much.
Well, here, how about this too? And I don't know the artist, his work or anything, but do you think on any of his tracks, there's talking about him hypothetically taking care of some business, potentially taking somebody out? I'm gonna say, like, again, I don't know his style, I don't know whatever else, but hypothetically, no one would be surprised in that genre or others if that's the artistic approach he took. Correct?
Yeah, I think you're really treading on an interesting ground when you won't allow artists to express themselves wholly, especially within the context of what they do. That's that woman's job. That's her job is to make people laugh. She was on her job. I don't under the rules that don't always apply to the world that you live in. But this is a different set of rules, so I don't think she did anything offensive. I think it was a very smart joke, and I wish I don't know. I can go into a diatribe about rap fans, but they should probably just move along and stop giving her extra
Aside
clout.
aside from some of those folks making her life harder, I hope and think that ultimately the initial negative backlash is going to be a positive for her overall.
I think, and here's another thing, and again, this is why I kind of didn't want to go too deep into it, but can we also acknowledge that as a woman comedian, a lot of that also has a lot to do with it?
Oh, that people are taking it out on
Oh
her?
yeah, I think this is a
Maybe.
joke that, and here's the thing is, I think this is a joke Jesselnick could do. I think if Jesselnick tweeted something out like that, he wouldn't be receiving as much heat as I think she is currently receiving right now. That's just me. I look,
Maybe. Yeah.
I could
I
be
don't know.
completely wrong, but I think her being a woman comedian also has a lot to why she's also receiving a ton of this backlash. People really hate the idea of women telling funny jokes that are edgy. It's been the case since the beginning of time.
Could be. Do we want to finish with some fair or foul before we get out of here? You want to do some back and forth, Trav?
Let's get it on. Can I drink some orange soda? Because Travis loves orange soda.
Oh boy.
After you introduce it.
Crush.
Hmm.
Whenever you're thinking about crushing your thirst, think Crush Orange. I'm gonna drink it slowly. Can you want to start the Farrah music?
What's wrong with him?
Yeah,
At
music.
this defining moment, change has come to America.
People often ask me, what's fair or foul? Is it a segment? Is it a movement? Is it hope? I can't say for certain. Time will be a true test of its power. But I can say, fair or foul is now and forever for the people. Gather around the radio with your loved ones and hold on to your butts. It's now time for fair.
We give it back to you, the people.
Or foul.
Let's get this party started. What do you got?
Travis, news broke that Netflix dropping $70 million potentially to bring Eddie Murphy back for a stand-up special or multiple specials. Fair or foul, Eddie's still got it.
Eddie absolutely still has it, but foul. I don't see this ever happening. I think Eddie Murphy. I don't know. I could be wrong. Look, he's got 2 major projects coming up here in the next year and a half.
What are those?
He's got the Dolomite project that he's doing right now with Netflix, and then of course he has the sequel to Coming to America. I just don't think right now he has the time for stand up. And he did mention in the Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee how he would like to work the scenes again before he puts together a special. And trust me, if Eddie Murphy has shown up at any of the comedy clubs we know, we would have heard about it by now. We just haven't.
Yeah, he said he was worried that that muscle has atrophied.
That's what I would like. Father Time, whether it's fighting, stand-up comedy, athletic, like there are certain things that if you haven't done it, it goes away.
Yeah.
Like that's scary.
Like
And
it would take some time.
And he did sound like a guy that really, judging by how many kids he has, he's really about that family life. Like he talks about how he enjoys doing nothing. And if you've ever talked to someone who's at the point in their life where they've done it all and they've made as much money as they can make and they have kids and grandkids, when they say they're settled in, I would believe them. And it sounds like Eddie, I think these other projects may have been just to get him out of the house. I don't see him going on the road, and thus I don't see a special.
I have one.
please.
Fair or foul? Jose Canseco predicting the future. A tweet from him recently. In 27 years, 6 months, 7 days, and 6 hours, humanity will change greatly.
He's still holding it down in Vegas.
Oh my God! This came at 12:45 a.m. on
Oh, okay. And that was Central
That
Time?
was Friday.
Okay.
That's
That's a late Friday for Jose.
Are you worried now because Jose Canseco? I tweeted that out.
And if I'm on Twitter in 27 years, I absolutely will be worried.
Yeah, that's a problem. I wish we had video of Hong Man Choi beating the dog shit out of Jose Canseco in Pride. Remember whenever he thought he was going to be an MMA fighter and he decided to take a fight against a 7'4" Korean guy?
Is that on his?
It doesn't go well.
I think that
Hong Man Choi versus Jose Canseco, if you want to find
that's
the
his
video.
background
Him fighting
on
Hong
his
Man Choi.
on his Twitter.
Don't get me wrong. Choi is a giant man who's a real martial artist, and it takes some guts to get in there, but what a strange experiment Jose Canseco has been. Fair or foul,
Interesting.
that Bigfoot trip that Jose was wanting to go on. Gardner, sponsored, do you take it
Yeah.
if it's next week? You don't have to pay anything.
Yeah.
All expenses paid.
Yeah.
You just have to spend 5 days camping with Jose Canseco.
I'd rather Tommy go in my place, but
Tommy the intern.
I would go. Yes,
Okay.
most certainly.
Got it.
I mean, that's just
Yeah,
what's gonna.
once in a while.
You're gonna get stuff out of that like you wouldn't believe, right?
Mhm.
That's the
You're
whole
gonna hear
point.
about weird MLB threesomes in the 80s.
Like the kind of content we're coming back with, boys.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. Is that okay? This is gonna be good.
Yeah.
That's why I would do it.
Fair or foul, Tom Hanks playing Mr. Rogers. Looks like the trailer for Mr. Rogers' film has just recently dropped. So what are your thoughts on Tom Hanks as Mr. Rogers?
Tom Hanks. Ooh. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about a Mr. Rogers film, actually.
I think it'll be good. And I think that documentary set the tone, set the table for people to be to want a little more. Tom Hanks is the guy. Fair.
Can it be weird? Will it be weird?
I think Tom Hanks is he not like he's the best. Like, I think even his worst, on Tom Hanks' worst day, it's an above average film.
Okay. I'm
Will
gonna
there
say
be
foul.
fair or foul? There will be a Woody toy Easter egg in his on his set. Missed opportunity if they don't, right? And it doesn't have to be obvious. It could be something that people realize down the line.
Yeah, I'll go fair with that. I like
That'd
that.
Yeah, I'll go fair with that as well. I'm with you there.
All right. Fair or foul, the driver of the Chrysler 300 with 22-inch rims that I saw parked in the middle of Vandeventer in a flooded area was inside the vehicle hanging out in the flood zone or fled the scene. That was on my drive into work.
In the car.
Today?
Just hanging out. Oh, there's flash flooding. For real.
So what's
And
the
it was
fair?
in the middle of Vandeven there, and it was
Are they
flooded
in there?
around?
Are they still in there or not? Did they
Okay.
just hang out in their
No,
car in the middle of the road?
They've abandoned the car.
Okay.
They've abandoned by now. So, what is that? Foul?
Foul. They're not. They're not in the car.
Okay.
Okay.
I was trying to figure that part out.
Trav, you got one more, and we'll wrap.
Complimenting your host. Fair or
Foul.
foul?
Foul. Foul.
Mother.
That'll do it for Fair or Foul today. Yeah, what a nice show it's been. Good to be back on the air. We'll have plenty this week. We have a bunch of great guests lined up. If you missed last week, we had a really fun show Friday, a great week last week as well. Be sure to download that. Rate and review us on iTunes. For Gardner here in St. Louis, for the rain, for the heat, for everything else. See you guys tomorrow live at 8 a.m. We'll see you then.
Peace.